Hi there, Peter Stoll from Lifestyle Change Catalyst. When you're making a lifestyle change or considering a change to your lifestyle, that will usually also include a change to your work structure. So what I've done here today is put together a comparison of work structure options for you so you can consider which is the best for you. Now, just a quick disclaimer at the beginning here. I will not be offering any financial advice here, as I'm not a qualified financial advisor. The comparison I make here is given purely from a lifestyle perspective. Also, I would urge you to make your own investigations before accepting or proceeding with any suggestions made in here. However, I hope it does encourage you to start your own process of positive change. Now, the four types of work structures that we're going to be looking at today include an employee, a traditional small business, a franchisee, and an online business. And the first set of criteria we're going to look at is ownership and control. As an employee, you have very little ownership and control over your position. Traditional small business, yes, it's yours. You own the business, so it's under your control. Franchisee, it's a bit of a yes and no, because although you have you run the business, you are under the guidance of the franchisor. And with an online business, it is all yours. It is your business to run and control as you wish. The second criteria is time flexibility. With an employee situation, you have very little time flexibility, although some employers are building a little bit of flexibility in. Generally speaking, you have very little time flexibility. With a traditional small business, you have almost no flexibility at all. It's usually you are the owner-operator, so you are tied up in that business quite often more than what a straight employee would be. Franchisee is a similar situation to a small business in this regard. However, an online business, you have total control over your time and you can allocate your time as you wish. This is due to automation possibilities in the business. The next criteria is location flexibility. As an employee, you have very little flexibility in this regard. You work where the job is and that's it. Traditional small business, once again, if you have a bricks and mortar business, you're very limited in where you can go with that business. Franchisee, again, it's more a territory or a location that you've bought into, so limited flexibility there. However, with an online business, if you have access to the internet, you can virtually go anywhere. So you have a lot of location flexibility, not only within your own hometown. For example, you could, instead of working at the office, you can work from home or down the cafe if you like. You can even roam a lot further than that and travel your country or even travel the world. The next criteria is customer access, and this is how easy it is for your customer, because we're all serving someone, how easy it is for them to access you. With an employee, it's fairly limited access because you have set hours that the customer or the person you're working for in the end can access you. Traditional small business, you have fairly set open hours, usually, with a little bit of extra added scope, which I'll talk about a bit later. The franchisee, once again, you usually have set hours with some little extra scope available there. But with an online business, you have 24/7 access for your client base through automation of sales processes, etc. People can access you through the internet on a 24/7 basis. Now, just getting back to traditional small business and franchisee, the reason why I have that little plus next to limited is that those businesses can actually be augmented by an online facility, so you can gain some additional customer access through that avenue. The next criteria is marketing reach, And in terms of employee, that's fairly restricted because you're really bound by what the job role is. Traditional small business, you are also fairly restricted in that you're probably servicing an area, local area, and can't really reach beyond that. Same with a franchisee, it's usually an area or a territory that you're servicing. However, with an online business, you can actually target a very specific audience, not only on a local level, but right through to a global level if you wish. Next criteria is business scalability, and this is about how easy it is to build the work structure to produce additional income. Usually as an employee, there is limited availability to do this. You have a job role to do, and that's it. With a traditional small business, you do have some availability to do this. You may have to take on extra staff to gain an expansion on your sales, but it is possible. Franchisee can be a little bit limited in that you have a set territory and a set product range. However, an online business, due to automation once again, you could scale up your advertising, and if you're selling digital products, for example, you could mass produce or sell those products quite easily without keeping any additional inventory or without any other costs associated with that. The next criteria, which is market flexibility, is probably goes a little bit hand in hand with business scalability in that it's talking about how flexible are you to changes in the marketplace. With an employee, you're not that flexible really, because if the job dries up, then usually you are let go by your employer. In a traditional small business, you could change your product range, etc., or service range to suit changes in the market. With franchisee, it's very limited because you are restricted in what you can do by the franchise arrangement once again. But with an online business, you can easily add products and add services as the market demands change in certain areas. You might want to move into a new area, and you could easily do that, especially if you have an email list that you've put together, that those people will move with you into new product areas. Now the last criteria is cost, which is startup cost and ongoing costs. For an employee, that's usually fairly minimal, although some employers might want someone to have a degree or tertiary education, which is going to be a cost to the employee, but the actual cost of starting in the role is fairly minimal. For a traditional small business, however, it's usually quite high. You may have purchased the business, or if you're starting the business from scratch, you need to build inventory, etc. And there will be ongoing costs associated with it, such as rental of premises, etc., and maybe retaining of inventory as well. So for franchisee, very similar situation to a traditional small business, high buy-in cost in particular, which might take a few years to pay back, and high ongoing costs as well. Now with an online business, it is relatively low compared to the other two types of businesses there. Now there is obviously some costs associated, and depending on how quickly you want to get an online business up and running. If you want an extremely professional looking website and Facebook page and video assets, then you may need to spend some money up front to get that looking at high quality, but the actual cost overall there is quite low compared to the other two. Now here's a look at the full comparison board completed. I think if you look at the positive signals there, most things are going to point towards an online business. But what I'll do is I'll just highlight those and highlighted, it shows that the online business really, in regard to those 8 criteria that we've been through, an online business stands head and shoulders above the other 3 options that are available. So if you're looking at changing your work structure, I would suggest to you to look strongly at an online business and what it can offer you. So if you're thinking of going down the path of changing your lifestyle and changing your work structure, then perhaps you'd like to join me on my Facebook, which is Lifestyle Change Catalyst Peter Stoll, or on my website, which is www.lifestylechange-catalyst.com, and we'll explore this a little bit further. Remember, I know it can work for you, but only you can make it happen. Cheers.